Hey man, she always comes back. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day, when her world quiets down and the noise fades, she'll remember you. Not because she suddenly became a different person, not because she finally understands love, but because the same patterns that made her leave are the same ones that will drag her back. Women don't leave because they stop caring, they leave because they think they can find a better feeling. The validation, the spark, the emotional high, they chase it like a drug, but every high fades, and when it does, they crave the one thing that can't be manufactured, the emotional stability of a man who already stopped chasing them. That's why they always come back, because peace is rare, and chaos eventually burns out. When she left, she didn't walk away from you, she walked toward fantasy. The illusion that someone else would give her more excitement, more validation, more of that emotional intoxication she craved. But what she found instead were men who wanted her body, not her soul. Men who mirrored her games, not her heart. And when the masks fell off, when the thrill turned into emptiness, that's when she began to remember. Not the arguments, not the silence, but the moments you made her feel safe. The mornings when you didn't have to speak to be understood. The way your presence felt like gravity, pulling her back even when her pride tried to resist. You see, that's what men rarely realize. It's not your words she remembers, it's your energy. That grounded, unshakable calm that no other man can imitate. She'll tell herself she doesn't miss you. She'll fill her schedule, drown her mind in distractions, post pictures that scream, "I'm fine." But every time something reminds her of you, a scent, a song, a certain type of silence, that illusion starts to crack. Because you can't replace what was authentic. You can mimic attention, you can replicate affection, but you can't fake connection. That's what she lost when she walked away. Not just a man, but a reflection of stability she didn't know she needed until she destroyed it. And as time passes, that realization becomes heavier, because the men she thought were better don't stay. They give her attention, but not depth. They want her presence, but not her peace. And that's when she starts circling back to the one man who gave her both, the man who no longer needs her. You see, she didn't really want to lose you, she just wanted to test you, to see if you'd chase, to see if your love was strong enough to withstand her chaos. But when you didn't break, when you stopped reacting, when you moved differently, that's when everything shifted. Your silence became her punishment. She thought she could control the tempo, that she could leave and come back at will. But your stillness broke the rhythm. You stopped dancing to her tune. You stopped begging for answers that never came. And that silence, it spoke volumes, because it wasn't anger, it was finality. And nothing shakes a woman more than realizing the man who once cared deeply now feels nothing at all. That's why she comes back. Not because she loves you, but because she can't accept losing the emotional power she once had over you. When she feels that shift, when your presence no longer bends to her will, it hits her ego like a wave. Suddenly, she starts romanticizing the past. She remembers the way you looked at her when she felt beautiful, the way you listened when the world didn't. But it's not nostalgia for you. It's nostalgia for the version of herself that existed when you adored her. You see, you were her mirror. Through your love, she felt valuable. Through your attention, she felt relevant. Now, without that reflection, she feels hollow. And rather than face the emptiness, she returns to the source of validation that once made her feel whole, you. That's the cruel irony. She doesn't come back because she's changed. She comes back because she hasn't. Because her emotions still orbit the same gravitational pull. The need to be wanted, even by the man she left. By the time she returns, you've changed. You're calmer, colder, not out of bitterness, but wisdom. You no longer seek closure, you are the closure. You no longer need her to validate your worth. You already rebuilt it, and this difference is what shocks her most. She expected the same man waiting at the same emotional door, desperate to let her back in. But what she finds instead is indifference. A man at peace, detached from her chaos. And that quiet confidence terrifies her, because it proves what she feared the most, that she was never your oxygen, she was just a phase in your evolution. She expected resentment, but she got peace. She expected pain, but she got purpose. And that contrast is what destroys her ego. Because it confirms that you never needed her to heal, you needed her absence. She might try to mask it, to play it cool, to pretend her return is casual, but underneath that calm exterior lies panic. The kind of panic that comes from realizing she lost control over someone who once adored her. She'll test the waters, send a small message, maybe an apology disguised as curiosity, but don't mistake that for genuine change. Most women don't return because they've evolved. They return because they can't accept irrelevance. Your silence made them confront something they hate, their own replaceability, and that's why detachment is the most powerful weapon a man can wield. When you stop reacting, you break the emotional circuit. You force her to sit in the void she created, and no amount of attention from new men can fill that space, because it's not about attraction anymore, it's about loss. The kind that lingers, the kind that rewires her forever. The moment she comes back, she'll expect to see the same emotional door open, the same warmth, the same softness. But what she doesn't understand is that silence changes a man. Once you've learned peace, chaos no longer excites you. You stop mistaking intensity for intimacy. You stop confusing attention with affection. You finally understand that love built on inconsistency will never give you peace. It will only drain you. And when she realizes that you no longer crave her, she'll feel something deeper than heartbreak, insignificance. Because for a woman who lives through validation, being forgotten is worse than being hated. Hate still means emotion. Indifference means extinction. And that's exactly what your silence represents, the death of her influence, the burial of her illusion of control. In the quiet aftermath, she'll think about you more than she ever admits. Every new relationship will be compared to you. Every man will feel slightly less real, slightly less present, because she's not searching for someone better, she's searching for that feeling again. That grounding, that masculine calm, that energy that made her feel safe even in her storms. But she won't find it, because it wasn't something you gave her, it was something she felt in your presence. That's what most people never understand. True masculine energy doesn't demand loyalty, it commands memory. Long after you're gone, your energy lingers. She'll see it in other men and feel its absence. She'll hear your voice in her head when someone else fails to understand her. That's why she'll keep coming back, because she's not chasing you, she's chasing the version of herself that only existed when you were around. So don't be surprised when she reappears, when the woman who ghosted you suddenly remembers your name, when she reaches out with a soft, "Hey, how have you been?" Don't confuse her return with redemption. Most of the time, it's not love, it's karma. It's the universe reminding her what real energy feels like after being surrounded by the superficial. But the man you've become, he doesn't chase, doesn't hate, doesn't even gloat. He simply observes, because now you understand the truth. You were never meant to be her possession. You were her lesson, and she'll spend years learning it. Every time she tries to find you in someone else and fails, every time she lies awake replaying the moments she took for granted, she'll feel it. That quiet ache, that emptiness, that realization that what she lost wasn't just a man, it was peace. As the days pass, her thoughts begin to haunt her in ways that no one can see. She'll smile in public, she'll laugh with her friends, she'll even convince herself that she's moved on. But when the night gets quiet and the phone stays still, that's when the truth hits hardest. She starts to remember the way your silence felt like control, not the manipulative kind, but the kind that made her feel safe and unstable all at once. Because deep down, every woman craves that calm dominance, a man who doesn't need to chase, who doesn't fold under pressure, who doesn't fight for validation. And when she lost that, she didn't just lose you, she lost her sense of security. The world around her suddenly feels louder, messier, less certain. And though she'll never admit it, that's why she can't stay away for long. It's not love pulling her back, it's gravity. What she doesn't realize is that your silence has become your weapon and your healing at the same time. You see, silence isn't emptiness, it's strategy. It's the refusal to participate in emotional warfare. When you stop explaining, stop proving, stop chasing, you strip the manipulation of its power. And that's when everything flips. The woman who once played the game now starts questioning the rules. The attention she used to take for granted suddenly becomes the thing she craves. She'll overthink your calm. She'll analyze your indifference. She'll romanticize your mystery. All because you did the one thing she didn't expect. You stopped caring. That's the paradox of attraction. The more you detach, the more she obsesses. Because women aren't drawn to men who need them. They're drawn to men they can't fully have. And when you become that, when you become untouchable, She feels it in every cell of her being. And so her mind starts rewriting history. She begins to filter out the arguments, the cold nights, the distance. Instead, she focuses on the warmth, the small moments she once dismissed. The way you smiled at her without needing to speak. The way you held her gaze longer than anyone else dared. Those little things start to replay like a movie she can't turn off, and suddenly, every man who comes after you feels incomplete. They can make her laugh, but not feel safe. They can excite her, but not ground her, because excitement fades, but your energy stays. That's why she always comes back, not to rekindle what was lost, but to escape what she's found, a world full of men who can't match the depth of the one she walked away from. When she finally reaches out, she'll do it carefully, like someone walking barefoot through broken glass. She'll test your tone, your reaction, your openness. She'll pretend she's checking in, but what she's really checking is if the door is still open. But you've learned too much to play that role again. You've seen what happens when you hand over your peace for temporary validation. You know that love without respect is slavery in disguise. So instead of reacting, you remain calm, polite, distant, measured. That calmness will crush her more than anger ever could, because it shows that her hold over you no longer exists. She'll smile through the pain, maybe even act like she's happy for you, but behind that composure lies fear. Fear that you've moved on for real, and that fear is exactly what she used to make you feel. Her ego won't let her admit she regrets it, not out loud. So she'll try to rewrite the story in a way that saves her pride. She'll tell herself that you changed, that you became distant, that maybe she left for a reason. But when she looks at you now, composed, confident, glowing from within, the story stops making sense, because she can see it. You're not bitter, you're better. You didn't crumble, you evolved. You turned heartbreak into strength, silence into power, and absence into self-respect. That transformation unsettles her, because deep down, she knows she contributed to it. She forged the very man she now wishes she hadn't lost. You became the living proof that not every man breaks when he's left. Some rebuild. And once a man rebuilds himself without her, there's no version of her that can fit into his new world. She'll start to show signs of confusion, the kind that comes from emotional withdrawal she never prepared for. See, when a woman walks away thinking she can replace your energy, she assumes that the next man will make her feel the same spark, that familiar safety and thrill you brought. But when every connection feels shallow, she begins to question herself. Why can't she feel the same anymore? Why doesn't it hit the same? Why does every conversation feel forced? That's when she starts realizing it wasn't love she was running from, it was depth. And depth scares the modern woman, because true intimacy demands accountability. You forced her to look at herself, and she didn't like what she saw. But now, in your absence, she sees it clearer than ever. She left a man who actually made her feel alive for a world that only keeps her entertained. Her pride will keep her silent at first. She'll convince herself you're the one who'll break the silence, that you'll eventually fold and reach out again. But you don't. You're too focused on your purpose, too grounded in your peace. You're not waiting anymore, you're building. And that's when her anxiety kicks in. She starts to wonder if you've truly moved on, if you've replaced her, if someone else gets to experience the calm she once rejected. Every scenario she imagines tortures her ego, because deep down she knows she never appreciated you when she had the chance. That's what eats her alive, not the fact that she lost you, but that she made herself lose you. And the more she sees you thriving, the more it burns. Because in her world, your peace looks like punishment. She expected revenge, but all she got was silence, and that silence is louder than anything you could have said. When she finally breaks the silence, it'll be subtle. A hey, how have you been? Disguised as small talk, a like on your old post, a memory she brings up out of nowhere. But what she's really asking is, do I still matter? And you'll feel the shift instantly, not in your heart, but in your awareness, because you'll see it for what it is, a test. She's not coming back to build something real. She's coming back to soothe the discomfort of being forgotten. You'll recognize the tone, the charm, the same rhythm of words she used when she once had you wrapped around her finger. But this time, it won't work. You've evolved past the version of yourself that needed closure. You don't need to prove your worth anymore. Your silence already did. And that realization will hit her harder than rejection ever could. Because now, you don't need to win her back. she's already lost you, and she knows it. She'll act like she's happy for you. She'll say things like, "I'm glad you're doing well," or "You look happy these days." But behind those words lies something darker, a quiet envy that eats at her, because she's not used to seeing a man move on without bitterness. Most men beg, plead, or try to prove a point. You did none of that. You simply walked away. That's what haunts her. You were supposed to be the one who couldn't live without her. And yet, here you are, living better than ever. It's not arrogance, it's evolution. You didn't get stronger to make her jealous. You got stronger because pain forced you to grow. And that's what she'll never understand. That your detachment wasn't a tactic, it was transformation. You stopped chasing love and started embodying it. And the moment you did, she felt the shift. Because a man who no longer seeks external validation becomes untouchable. At this point, she's torn between pride and longing. One part of her wants to reach out, to admit she made a mistake. The other part can't handle the humiliation of being rejected by the man she once dismissed. So she does what most women do. She hides her pain behind distractions. She dates, flirts, posts, motivational quotes, pretends to be glowing, but her glow is hollow, her confidence forced. Because deep down, every new man reminds her of what she lost. She'll notice it in small moments, when someone fails to understand her the way you did, when no one listens without interrupting, when no one looks at her with that quiet, patient strength. That's when it hits her. She can find new people, but not new energy. You were the calm after her storms, and now she's surrounded by thunderstorms pretending to be passion. That's why she'll always come back. Because peace, once experienced, becomes an addiction she can never unfeel. As time passes, her mind becomes her battlefield. She won't tell anyone about the thoughts that keep her awake, but they're there, loud, unrelenting, and always leading back to you. She'll scroll through your social media, but never like a post, afraid you'll know she's watching. She'll replay old conversations in her head, the same ones she once ignored. And every time she remembers your tone, your patience, your steady energy, her heart sinks. Because you're not just a memory anymore, you've become a standard. The way you carried yourself, the way you handled conflict, the way you stayed composed even when she was unpredictable, it's all etched into her subconscious now. You've become the invisible benchmark every man after you will be compared against. She'll never admit it, but it's there. You're the ghost she can't exorcise. Not because she misses you, but because she still doesn't understand how you became immune to her. Her friends will notice the change first. The way her laughter sounds a little forced. The way she avoids talking about new men too much. They'll tell her she's better off, that she deserves someone new, and she'll nod, pretending to believe it. But when the conversations end, when she's alone, she feels that ache again. Because what she really misses isn't love, it's respect. With you, she felt seen. Not in the superficial sense, but in the deep grounding way that only a man with calm strength can make a woman feel. You didn't pedestal her, you mirrored her. You didn't worship her emotions, you contained them. That's what made her feel safe. And now that she's surrounded by men who either worship her or avoid her, she finally understands that what she once mistook for control was actually protection. She left the lighthouse and ran into the storm, and now every light she chases flickers out too fast. By now, your silence has turned into legend in her mind. She can't stop wondering how you managed to stay so calm when she expected you to break. She replays the last time you spoke, analyzing every word, every pause, trying to find a hint of weakness that wasn't there. But that's the part that stings. You didn't stumble, you didn't plead, you didn't even try to make her see what she lost. You simply let her go, and that quiet decision carries more power than any dramatic goodbye ever could. Because silence leaves room for imagination, and imagination is far more punishing than truth. In her mind, your indifference grows into mystery, your distance becomes strength, and your absence turns into allure. You've become larger than life in her memory, not because you tried to be, but because you didn't. That's the irony. The less you do, the more she feels. As for you, this phase isn't about revenge, it's about awakening. You've come to understand that closure doesn't come from her apology, but from your growth. You realize that every man eventually reaches a point where he stops trying to understand why she left and starts appreciating that she did. Her absence gave you clarity. It forced you to look inward, to find strength in solitude, to learn that real peace doesn't need to be proven, it just is. You stopped trying to be the man she wanted and became the man you were meant to be. And that shift, that internal transformation, is what makes you truly powerful. Because now you're not chasing love, you're radiating it. Not the soft, desperate kind that seeks validation, but the silent, grounded kind that attracts what's meant for you. And in that new version of yourself, she no longer fits. Her chapter ended the moment you learned how to write your own story. And that's why she'll keep coming back. Not because she truly wants you, but because she can't stand that you no longer want her. You've become the mirror that exposes everything she pretends not to see. The way she seeks attention, the way she confuses chaos for love, the way she sabotages peace when it's given to her freely, you represent the one man who saw it all and refused to be consumed by it. That's why your silence haunts her. It reminds her that she can't manipulate every ending, that some men can love deeply and still walk away, that some hearts don't need closure because they found purpose. And while she's still chasing validation, you've become content with solitude. So when she eventually returns, confused, nostalgic, desperate, you won't even need to respond. Because she'll already know the truth. She was never your loss. You were her lesson. And lessons, once learned, don't repeat. They evolve. She won't admit it, but your growth unsettles her. Because when a man truly detaches, when he genuinely stops caring, the world around him changes, and she feels it even from a distance. She'll sense your energy shift without a word being said. The man she once knew, reactive, emotional, seeking understanding, has been replaced by someone she can't read anymore. You're calm where you used to be restless, composed where you used to overthink. You're no longer orbiting her. You've built your own gravity. And that realization cuts her deeper than any argument ever could. Because women don't regret losing the version of you they broke. They regret losing the version of you that healed without them. You've become the man she always wanted, but only after she made herself irrelevant to your story. That's the cruel irony of feminine regret. It always arrives after masculine peace. She'll start testing the waters again, subtly at first. Maybe she'll comment on something trivial, or find a way to bring up a shared memory, as if by accident. She'll try to reopen the door without fully admitting she wants back in. But what she doesn't realize is that your silence has rewired her power. Every move she makes now feels hesitant because the emotional control she once held has dissolved. You're no longer emotionally reachable, no longer triggered, no longer waiting. You've reclaimed your time, your focus, your energy, and she can sense it. The emotional leash she used to pull on now hangs uselessly in her hands. She might still play her games, but you no longer participate. And when she realizes that manipulation no longer works, she'll be forced to confront what she's always avoided, herself. That's when the real punishment begins. She'll go through phases: anger, denial, nostalgia, justification. First, she'll get angry that you're unbothered. She'll tell herself you never cared, that you've changed, that you were fake all along. But it's not anger at you, it's anger at reflection in your absence. Because your silence acts as a mirror, showing her who she really is when her ego has nothing to feed on. Then comes denial. She'll convince herself you'll come back, that your distance is temporary. She'll wait for a sign, a message, anything. But time passes, and your peace remains unmoved. That's when nostalgia takes over. Every moment you shared suddenly becomes precious. The sound of your voice, the way you laughed, the calm you brought, it all floods back like waves she can't swim through. And when justification finally arrives, she'll do what all broken egos do. Tell herself you weren't that special after all. But deep down, she'll know the truth. You are irreplaceable. Meanwhile, you've learned something most men never do, that your power doesn't come from what you say, but from what you no longer react to. Every time you stay silent instead of defending yourself, you remind the world that your energy is sacred. Every time you walk away, instead of chasing, you reinforce your value. Every time you choose peace over chaos, you ascend a little higher. And that's what makes you dangerous, not in a violent or manipulative way, but in a magnetic way. Because now, your presence carries weight. Your absence teaches lessons. You've become the kind of man women crave, but rarely experience. A man who doesn't need validation to feel powerful. You've mastered the art of emotional detachment, not out of bitterness, but out of self-respect. And that's the point she'll realize too late, that the calm she took for granted was the rarest thing she'll ever encounter. And so, the cycle completes itself. The woman who once dismissed you now romanticizes you. The man who once chased now walks in silence. The tables didn't turn. They simply revealed who truly held the power all along. You see, real strength isn't loud, it's quiet. It's in the way you no longer explain yourself. It's in the way you no longer need to be understood. It's in the way your absence speaks louder than your presence ever did. She'll carry the memory of you like a ghost she can't bury, not because you haunt her, but because your energy became the contrast to everything else she'll ever find. You're the lesson she'll never forget. That peace feels boring until it's gone. That respect feels heavy until it's lost. And that once a man learns to love himself more than the idea of being loved, he becomes untouchable. As time drags on, her obsession starts to evolve into something darker, quiet, private, and completely consuming. You've become a reference point in her emotional universe. Every new man she meets is subconsciously compared to you, even when she swears she's moved on. She'll start noticing patterns, how no one listens with the same patience, how no one commands silence the way you did without raising their voice, how no one carries that quiet intensity that made her feel both nervous and safe at once. She'll pretend it doesn't matter, but her emotions betray her every time. And in those private moments of stillness, when the night stretches too long, when her distractions wear off, your memory returns like gravity. You are the center. She keeps orbiting, even when she's too proud to admit it. You're not haunting her. You've simply become the standard she'll never reach again. She'll scroll through your pictures late at night, convincing herself it's just curiosity, but it's not. It's longing mixed with disbelief, because you're not supposed to be doing this well. You're not supposed to look this focused, this peaceful, this unaffected. In her mind, you were the man who once waited for her attention, who would have dropped everything for her text. But now, the roles have reversed. She's the one watching, wondering, analyzing, and that's the silent punishment of a man's growth. It flips the narrative completely. You've become proof that healing without her was possible, and that's the one thing she can't accept. Because if you can thrive without her, it means she never had as much power as she thought. And to a woman whose identity was once tied to your reaction, your calm is the ultimate insult. Her next phase is rationalization. She'll tell herself you were too serious, that you didn't understand her emotional needs, that the relationship wasn't right for her. But all these words are just shields against the truth, that she lost a man who was never the problem. Because when women can't admit they destroyed something good, they reframe it as something meant to end. But her body remembers differently. Her mind remembers the peace she felt in your presence, the way her chaos quieted around you. And no matter how many narratives she spins to protect her ego, none of them erase the ache of losing a man who never tried to control her, just led her through stillness. Deep down, she knows that kind of man doesn't come twice, and that's why she'll never stop checking, never stop wondering, never stop wishing she had handled you differently. Meanwhile, your silence has matured into a discipline. You've learned to channel your energy into purpose, not people. You no longer chase the temporary comfort of validation, because you've found something far more powerful: self-certainty. The more you focus inward, the less you need to explain yourself to anyone. You understand now that peace is expensive, and you pay for it with distance. Every time you choose stillness over reaction, every time you choose composure over chaos, you're reclaiming your masculinity in its purest form, grounded, self-contained, and magnetic. And what's ironic is that this very version of you, the one she couldn't handle, is the one she'll crave the most. Not because you're unreachable, but because your presence now feels divine. You've transcended the emotional games she once mastered. You've risen above her need for control. And now, she's stuck replaying the story, trying to figure out when she lost the upper hand. Her curiosity will start to look like concern. She'll ask mutual friends about you, casually, as if she's just curious. "How's he doing?" she'll say. But the question hides layers of emotion she can't admit, because every answer hurts her, no matter what it is. If they say you're thriving, it bruises her pride. If they say you're distant and quiet, it makes her miss you. If they say you're seeing someone new, it shatters her ego. There's no version of this story where she wins. That's the power of emotional detachment. It traps her in her own game. She wanted control, now she's lost it completely. She wanted you to care, Now your indifference has become her punishment. She wanted to feel powerful. Now she's powerless in her own thoughts. You became everything she can't forget, not because you tried, but because you finally understood the truth. Peace is the most devastating revenge. As the months pass, something strange happens. She stops feeling angry, but she can't feel free either. You exist somewhere between memory and obsession for her. She'll tell herself she's moved on. She'll go on dates. She'll post pictures that scream, "I'm happy." But the emptiness always lingers after the lights go out. Because what she's missing isn't love. It's the version of herself she could only be when she was with you. Around you, she felt both safe and seen, both challenged and calm. You didn't try to change her, yet your presence made her better. Now, surrounded by men who either pedestal her or fear her, she realizes what balance feels like, only in hindsight. You gave her that rare combination of gentleness and dominance, the kind of presence that a woman's soul remembers long after her mind tries to forget. And that's the part she can't replace. No matter how many distractions she chases, she'll try to convince herself that she's happy with someone new, but it never feels the same. The new man may compliment her, but it feels forced. He may listen, but not in the way you did. Not with the quiet understanding that made her feel safe to be vulnerable. He may touch her, but she feels the difference. There's no emotional weight, no depth, just surface-level comfort. Every new experience reminds her of the stability she once had with you. And while she's smiling for the pictures, deep down, she's haunted by the thought that she downgraded her soul just to satisfy her ego. Because women don't truly regret losing you when they first leave. They regret it when they realize peace doesn't come with attention, and security doesn't come from followers or validation. They regret it when their reflection in someone else's eyes no longer makes them feel the same. And that's the cruel twist. She thought walking away would set her free, but it only exposed how lost she really was. You see, women often confuse boredom with unhappiness. Your consistency, your calm, your predictability, it didn't excite her enough in the moment. But now she understands that chaos is easy. Peace takes strength. When she left, she traded a man who understood her silence for men who only react to her noise. And it's in that realization, quiet, painful, humbling, that she starts to miss the small things. The way you check on her without her asking. The way your tone never shifted, even when she tried to provoke you. The way your absence felt like a statement, not an accident. It's in those small, forgotten details where her guilt starts to bloom. Because she didn't just lose you, she lost the part of herself that could rest in your presence. Now, every time she hears your name, something flickers inside her. A sting of curiosity mixed with regret. She'll never show it, of course. She'll pretend she's over it, pretend she's fine. But her silence will betray her in the smallest ways. The hesitation before she answers a question about you, the fake smile when your name comes up in conversation, the way she quickly changes the topic. Because deep down, she knows she misread you. She thought your patience meant weakness, your forgiveness meant desperation, your loyalty meant submission, but now she sees what it really was, strength disguised as calm. And the tragedy is, she only recognizes it after you've walked too far to turn around. You've outgrown her chaos. You've evolved beyond her emotional games. You're no longer accessible to the version of her that took you for granted. And that's what breaks her, not that you're gone, but that you're unreachable now. By the time she realizes what she's lost, it's already too late. Because the man she remembers, the one who cared, who tried, who stayed, doesn't exist anymore. You've become someone else. Someone who no longer seeks closure, no longer needs validation, no longer defines his worth through a woman's affection. You've become untouchable, not because you're cold, but because you're whole. And while she's still chasing feelings, you're chasing peace. That's the difference between men who beg to be understood and men who learn to understand themselves. You've stepped into that rare territory where your silence is louder than any explanation, your distance more attractive than any confession, and your indifference more powerful than any revenge. And she'll feel that, not once, not twice, but every single time she tries to love someone new. Because no matter where she goes, she'll keep running into the same truth. She didn't just lose you, she lost the calm that only existed when you were around. There comes a point where her facade begins to collapse. The act of pretending she's fine starts to exhaust her. Smiles begin to feel heavy, laughter begins to sound hollow, and the world around her starts losing its color. Because beneath the surface, she's fighting a quiet war with herself, between pride and longing. Pride tells her to move on, to never look back, but longing whispers your name in the spaces where silence lives. She'll try to silence that voice, but it always comes back stronger. Every time she scrolls past your name or sees someone who looks like you, her chest tightens. Because it's not about missing you, it's about missing who she was when you loved her. You gave her a sense of direction, a grounding force that made her feel safe in a world that thrives on uncertainty. And now, stripped of that anchor, she floats aimlessly between distraction and denial. At first, she'll reach for coping mechanisms, social media validation, new dates, old flings, or even spiritual cliches like everything happens for a reason. But deep down, she knows this isn't healing, it's avoidance. Healing would mean facing what she did, acknowledging that she pushed away the only man who truly saw through her walls. And that kind of honesty terrifies her, because it would force her to admit that the strong, independent woman persona she hides behind isn't strength, it's protection. You were the first man who didn't fall for her charm, who didn't try to fix her, who simply understood, and that scared her. She wanted control, but you offered freedom. She wanted validation, but you offered peace. So she ran, and now that peace is the very thing her soul aches for. Every man who follows you will suffer from her comparison, not because they're bad, but because they're not you. She'll start romanticizing the smallest things you did, your quiet presence, your unbothered confidence, the way you didn't chase but always led. She used to mistake that calm for emotional distance, but now she understands it was depth. Because men like you don't react, you respond. You don't argue, you observe. You don't need to win, you just walk away. And that kind of man unsettles a woman who's used to controlling narratives. You became her paradox, the man she couldn't figure out, the one who made her feel everything without saying much. And now, that mystery haunts her. She replays moments, overthinks conversations, imagines alternate endings where she chose differently. But no matter how many scenarios she builds in her head, they all end the same, with her realizing that the version of you who once cared doesn't exist anymore. That's the cruel beauty of masculine evolution. You become everything she wants only after she loses you. And while she's busy replaying what was, you've stepped fully into what is. You've stopped looking back. You've stopped explaining your worth to people who never earned the right to hear your truth. You've realized that love isn't something you chase. It's something that recognizes you when you're in alignment with yourself. Your silence isn't emptiness, it's direction. It's how you communicate now. Without words, without validation, without compromise. You move differently. You speak less and command more. You've learned that mystery is not pretending to be unavailable. It's being so purpose-driven that availability becomes a privilege, and that shift changes everything, because now women feel your presence before you even speak. They sense the power in your restraint, the calm in your demeanor, the danger in your peace. You've become a man who doesn't chase. He attracts, simply by existing in truth. But the real victory isn't that she misses you, it's that you don't miss her anymore. Not because you're heartless, but because you've outgrown the emotional battlefield she still fights on. You understand that love built on control, on tests, on drama, isn't love, it's attachment. And what you offer now can't be manipulated, can't be broken, can't be lost. Because it's rooted in something permanent, self-respect. The man who once waited for her text now wakes up with peace in his chest. The man who once wondered if she'd ever regret it now knows she already does. You've reclaimed your narrative, your energy, and your purpose. And as she tries to find pieces of you in other men, you quietly build a life that doesn't need her or anyone else's validation to feel full. You've become the lesson she'll carry for the rest of her life, the one that got away not because he disappeared, but because he evolved. There's a moment every woman who loses a good man faces, that quiet night where everything catches up to her. The noise stops, the distractions fade, the phone stops lighting up, and all that's left is the echo of what she gave up. She'll sit there, scrolling through old photos, rereading old messages, replaying old memories that used to make her smile but now sting like salt in an open wound. It hits her slowly, like a haunting realization she can't run from anymore. You were the one man who actually cared, but not in a desperate way. You cared with strength. you cared with consistency, you cared without needing to prove anything, and that's what terrifies her now, because she knows she'll never feel that again. Not from the man she's with, not from the one she flirts with, not even from herself. The peace you brought into her chaos is irreplaceable, and now that you're gone, she's learning that peace is the hardest drug to quit. At first, she'll tell herself it's just nostalgia, that it's normal to miss someone who once meant something, but that illusion crumbles fast, because nostalgia doesn't hit this deep. Nostalgia doesn't make her wake up at 3 a.m. thinking about your silence. Nostalgia doesn't make her question her worth every time she sees you thriving without her. This isn't nostalgia, it's grief. The kind of grief that doesn't come from losing a man, but from realizing she was never capable of appreciating him while he was there. That's what eats at her the most. The realization that she destroyed something sacred out of immaturity, that she mistook stability for boredom and loyalty for weakness. And now, every time she meets another man who gives her attention, she feels that same emptiness, because she knows what real attention used to feel like. Yours wasn't about wanting her, it was about understanding her. And now that she knows the difference, every fake connection feels like punishment. Meanwhile, you've transformed that same pain into wisdom. You no longer crave validation, you crave clarity. You no longer chase emotions, you chase meaning. You've learned that silence isn't distance, it's power, because silence creates space, and in that space, truth always reveals itself. While she's out there reacting, posting, pretending, you've learned the art of restraint. You've become the kind of man who doesn't explain his absence, he lets the absence speak for itself. You've realized that attention is currency, and you no longer give it away freely. Your mind is sharper, your focus deeper, your presence heavier. And this is where true attraction begins, when you stop seeking it. You've reached a level of discipline that most men never touch, and that energy alone makes you unforgettable. Not because of what you do, but because of what you no longer allow. She'll sense that transformation, even if she never sees you again. It's strange how women can feel when the man they once controlled has evolved beyond their reach. They can sense when the energy has shifted, when your spirit no longer bends toward them. It's an energetic disconnect that leaves them unsettled. She'll feel it when your name comes up, when your face flashes in her memory, when her friends mention how well you're doing. The peace in your aura will start to irritate her chaos. She'll want to provoke you again, even indirectly, just to see if she still matters. But you won't react, you won't even notice, and that's what breaks her completely. The realization that the man who once revolved around her no longer even considers her in orbit. You've reclaimed your gravitational pull, and now she's the one spinning in emotional confusion, wondering how the script flipped so completely. And this is where the story ends. Not with revenge, not with pain, but with peace. Because the real victory isn't in her regret, it's in your release. The day you stopped needing closure was the day you became free. You learned that not every heartbreak deserves a response, and not every goodbye deserves a return. You learned that some women are sent not to love you, but to teach you how to love yourself better. You took the hit, absorbed the lesson, and evolved. And now, as she sits somewhere wondering why her world feels so empty, you're out there building a new one that doesn't revolve around anyone but your purpose. That's the final truth. She'll never escape. When you walked away, she didn't just lose a man, she lost a mirror that reflected everything pure within her. And when that reflection disappeared, so did her illusion of control. You became her biggest regret, not because she lost you, but because you never looked back.